Hi everyone, and welcome to Canadian Redneck Channel. My name's Dave. Today we have a 574 International here. It's got some issues. It seems like a bad head gasket. When it's working hard, it pushes coolant out of the radiator. So I suspect it's just a bad head gasket. That's what it kind of points towards. So we are going to get the loader off out of the way and pull the hood and the head. I think I'll probably get the head checked just while I have it off, just to make sure everything's okay with the head, and go from there. Like I said, first thing, we're going to pull this loader off, which isn't a bad job. It's actually a quick attach loader. So I'll grab the camera and show you how it hooks up. At the front, this part is attached to the tractor. That ends in this large pin up here, and then the rail of the loader frame mounts on it, so slides over that. It's got a hook that comes around it to hold it solid at the front, and then at the back the frame comes all the way back and has a square pin. Comes all the way back and has this square pin here, and the loader frame sits on the square pin. It has this kind of bar that wraps around the square pin here, and it locks in place with a bolt here at the back. So the first thing we'll do is we'll loosen these bolts up, make sure that they're going to be free and able to turn, and then we will move the loader to a convenient spot and set it off out of the road. Give her a little shot with some oil, make sure things are lubed up. I'm going to turn okay. And the bolt turns. There we are. Yep, that's going to turn all right. So now that we have our loader strategically placed, we'll get our bolts out of the way. Next, we'll lift the loader, pull back on the loader lever, and that should lift the, yeah, there we go. That lifts that off of the cradle of the loader there. Now we'll just start easing it backwards. So when the head lifted off, the gasket stuck to it. I'm not seeing any obvious signs of where it might have been leaking compression across to the coolant jackets, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything either. We'll peel this off of here and See what we see. Come on. Yeah, still no obvious signs where it might have been leaking compression by, but I think I will get the head checked. Yeah, some of these ports were plugged up with crap. That's certainly wouldn't be helpful, wouldn't help things cool, that's for sure. The next step is to take the head and get it checked, order a head gasket set for it, and so when I have all the parts and pieces assembled, we'll start putting back together. All right, we're ready to start putting our engine back together now. So we've got our new head gasket set, and this gasket doesn't say top or bottom, so you got to make sure everything lines up, because it only lines up in one direction. If you put it on the other way too, it doesn't line up for the holes on this side or where the little bars cross. And now we'll install the cylinder head. The cylinder head was where the problem was. These engines have a little brass tube that goes down through the cylinder head, through the water jacket and the cylinder head for the injectors to go in. And two of these ones had lifted a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch, enough that when it was under load could push compression into the water jacket. And so we had two new those injector tubes put in, and the valves were ground and the head was planed and stuff like that. It's basically a reconditioned head now, ready to rock and roll. So the only thing that confuses me about how those brass tubes lifted is the injectors are bolted down into them, onto them. So really not sure exactly how they backed out, but they did, and that's what caused the problem. Anyhow, we'll get our cylinder head on here and get things bolted down. There we go, I'm just getting pretty close. There we are. There, we're sitting on the dowels now. And now we'll start putting head bolts to it. Now for these head bolts, the manual gives us a torque value oiled. So that means we want to clean these bolts off, and then we'll put a nice drop of oil on the threads so that they're lubricated going in, because the manual specifies a thread torque value oiled. So that's what we want to go with. And there's two different lengths of head bolts here too. The long ones go in the center row. Yeah, looks like there's long ones for the two center rows. The two outside rows take the short ones. You can see the difference there. They're about an inch difference in length. All right, so we'll use our redneck air wrench to get those zipped down into place. So the manual says we do this in 3 steps. 30 foot-pounds, 59, and 110 in 3 steps. So 30 isn't very much, but I suppose it's just to make sure everything gets started even. Okay, now we kick it on up to 59, which is an oddly specific number. All right, now 110. Okay. Now we're ready to put the push rods into place. For setting the valves, we will turn the engine to top dead center number 1 using the timing pointer on the front cover and the marks on the engine pulley. You can determine you're on number 1 when both valves for cylinder number 1 have a little bit of slack. So on top dead center number 1, we can set valves number 1, 2, 4, and 5. Then we turn the engine 1 full revolution to get top dead center number 4, and we can set valves number 3, 6, 7, and 8. The manual calls for the valve clearance to be set at 12 thousandths of an inch for both intake and exhaust valves with the engine warm, so at operating temperature. We're going to put our injectors in next, and they get a fresh O-ring. And it just goes in and sits at the top of the brass tube that the injector sits in, basically. Okay, we're not going to put those in real tight just yet. Now, before I snug them down, I'm going to give the engine a quick whirl over. That way, if there's any dirt, debris down there underneath where the injectors seat, that'll blow it right out of there. I checked before I started putting them in. It looked nice and clean, and like I said, I got the injectors clean, but this is just a little safeguard. There. Everything's nice and clean, nothing going. So now we can snug these up. And we may as well lay in our return line too. Make sure that the top of these are nice and clean so we get a good seal. ready to bleed our injector lines now. These ones have a enriched fuel position for starting, which basically is like putting the choke on, so we'll put it in that position, the start position. And that should get us some fuel up to those injector lines pretty quick. Yep, I'm seeing some fuel. There, okay, all the fuel lines are snugged up. Now, the manual says that you run it at like 3/4 operating speed, so which would be about 1500 RPM for this one, for no more than 15 minutes, bring it up to operating temperature, and then we retorque the head. Oh, not quite yet. No. Oh, I don't have it quite to start there. Okay. There, start. Shoot, wrong way. Stupid. We've got our engine warmed up now, so it's time to lift our rocker cover off. And there's not a lot of room to maneuver things right now. Holy crap. Well, that's an annoyance. There we go. There. So now we got to get the rocker arms out of there so we can torque the head bolts. Alright, so first thing we'll get the breather out of our hair. Doesn't have to move a lot, probably can get by with just taking the bolts out. And everything's nice and toasty, so we be careful of our arms here, we don't get burnt. Okay, everything is snug. So I'm going to just fire it up for a second and make sure that everything gets wiggled into place the way it's supposed to. And then we shall set the valves. Excellent, that's what I like to see. They were all oiling properly and everything. So now we got to get the crankshaft turned so she's up top dead center, either number 1 or number 4. There we go. Now it's the top dead center, so now we figure out which one it is, whether it's number 1 or number 4. Yep, both these valves are loose, both these valves are tight, so it's top dead center number 1. So we check our manual here and it tells us which valves we can adjust. So we can adjust number 1, 2, 4, and 5. And they're 12 thousandths warm, which they are. There we go. Just so you feel a light drag on it. That concludes our cylinder head video on the 574 International. Hope you enjoyed the video or found it interesting. Stay tuned, because next video I'm going to be changing the clutch. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and have a great day.